Jenna.
And I'm Jay.
And welcome to Kangaroo Island. Throughout the season, we've been giving you ideas on how to spend your days off, but the next 2 episodes will showcase an adventure for the weekend, Jay.
It's not just about the destination, it's about the journey.
And it's absolutely the case in this instance because your holiday starts as soon as you hop on board Sea-Link.
Kangaroo Island is one of South Australia icons and great holiday destinations for anyone. The Sea-Link ferry takes passengers daily between Cape Jervis on the mainland and Pennyshore on the island, a 16-kilometre crossing that only takes around 45 minutes. You'll be surprised how large the ferry is. It fits a number of large trucks as well as passenger cars. And if you suffer from seasickness, just remember due to its size, even on a rough day, it really isn't that rocky. There's plenty of room to sit whether you prefer it inside with a nice cup of coffee or outside enjoying the view and feeling that fresh breeze on your face. Around halfway through the journey, you begin to see the contours of the island in the distance, and if it's your first time, well, you start to wonder what it has in store for you. As the ferries run either early in the morning or late in the afternoon, the passengers get to enjoy a bonus, a beautiful sunset or sunrise at sea. Once we get to the island, we are straight away amazed by its natural beauty. Pierre Gregor, the chairman of the Island Tourism Commission, joins us on an adventure for the weekend. We've just met here because you told us this is a perfect location and this is absolutely amazing scenery that we can see behind us.
That's right, the island has got a lot to offer and I can't help but be passionate about it.
While we were on the ferry coming over, I was having a look at a map and I noticed there was some French names and also some English names. Can you tell me a little bit of a history how we got both together?
Yeah, good question. Look, in the early 1800s, both Matthew Flinders, English explorer, and Nicolas Baudin, a French explorer, met in Encounter Bay, just outside of, just off Victor Harbour, and they were actually mapping and charting the area around Kangaroo Island. After that encounter, Nicolas Baudin decided to go and do most of the south coast, and hence we have along the south coast we've got a lot of French names like Cape de Coudé, we've got the Estreats Bay, Vivonne Bay, and so on. The north coast.
I like how you say that. Can you say Vivonne Bay for me one more time?
Oh, Vivonne Bay.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I like that. That's very well done.
And of course, the British, Matthew Flinders, he did the north coast, and they came up with imaginative names like King George Beach, Western River Cove, Snellings Beach, and so on.
As we're coming across the ferry, you look out and you can see a massive island. What's the population of Kangaroo Island?
The population at the last census is about 4,600. 800 of them are about school age. And basically the visitation by comparison, we get in the order of 198,000 people coming a year. And so you can just imagine the influx of people and the way that they get absorbed by an island that is 4,400 square kilometres. It's a massive island.
So from a tourist perspective, what's some of the iconic places to come on the island?
Well, there are places like, for example, Cape de Coudé, the Flinders Chase National Park, remarkable rocks, Admiral's Arch, places like this, Pennington Bay, which is just magic.
And they've got amazing stories all behind them.
They certainly have. There is a lot of history and culture. But what attracts people generally is the fact that they have encounters with wildlife. We like to refer to Kangaroo Island as the zoo without fences,
yeah.
or the Galapagos of Australia, because we really are a microcosm of what you can see in the rest of Australia.
Now, Pierre, you have been here for a few years. What's one of your favourite things about the island?
Oh, look, I think the favourite thing for me is that it's unspoilt. It's unspoilt, it's unfenced, it's a place where you can relax, let go. It's just, I'm speechless actually.
Let down the hair, hey? I love it, absolutely love it.
Island is famous for its wildlife, and the first experience we're going on is a marine tour. The tour starts at Emu Bay, and as we get there, it is calm and beautiful as the sun is just beginning to shine. There are about 250 varieties of birds on Kangaroo Island, and we are not to be disappointed. Even before we board the boat, we find some pelicans and black swans relaxing at the shore in the early morning sunlight.
That would work. I reckon that would work, wouldn't it?
With an experienced eye out for sea life, Andrew is quick to uncover the camouflage of one of the island's marine animals, the New Zealand fur seals.
Can you explain to us where we've pulled up to, Andrew?
We're just on the headland here at Cape Kangaroo here, named after a French explorer, and we've got some New Zealand fur seals here. So these guys have been here for a few days. They've hauled out here. They've got some schools of salmon around in the area, so these guys aren't having to travel too far to get a feed at the moment. So
It's like a free smorgasbord out here.
it is.
Really for them, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, this is too big. This salmon. I'll grab this one.
And you're telling me you're out yesterday and you're having a bit of a swim.
Yeah, with these. Yeah, with these guys here. There was 3 of these guys here. These New Zealand fur seals. They're obviously well fed up and nice and happy, and we went for a bit of a snorkel, and they actually came over and checked us out. So it was they joined in. It was really good.
You know what I reckon it is? Because I'm a male, and it's probably male seals is that they're probably there thinking you were going to throw them a bit of feed, but we all know you're not allowed to feed them against the law.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Always thinking of their stomach.
Yeah, exactly. We don't feed these guys. I mean, there's no need to feed them. There's just so much on offer for these guys.
And they're just lying on the rock, getting a beautiful suntan for their missus.
Yeah.
And they're just
Loving it.
loving life. They don't even
right.
care that we're around.
Yeah, that's it. They don't even care that we're here. But yeah, like as you saw when we pulled up, you know, you wouldn't have even known this guy was here. We saw him as we pulled up. We've gone, oh, there's a seal.
Sort of blended in with the rocks,
Yeah.
didn't it? Until we got right up here, we didn't even know.
If you encounter these guys in the water, they're quite good because they call all the shots.
Someone over there, just over that side.
There's his brother.
You can see brother's just having a bit of a swim over that side.
Bros
for us.
coming in. The males become pelagic in the sea lions. The fur seal, sorry. They roam the ocean, just roam the ocean for months.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these guys will head off for quite a long time, quite a long period. Come back and check on mum and the kids.
While on the boat, we enjoy a view of great Kangaroo Island cliffs that are 200 metres tall in places. They say these cliffs are one of the things that define KI and make it a natural fortress. The layers of the sedimentary rocks in the cliff face go back millions of years and display history of when the island and the mainland and Antarctica were joined in one land called Gondwana.
As you can see, we've got some nice big cliffs behind us here. We've actually got the highest coastal cliffs in Australia on the island. So further down the north coast, down to Cape Torrens, Cape Forbin, we've got some cliffs down there that are just under 700 feet tall. So yeah, it's really quite a spectacle down there. We've also got there's some peregrine falcons living up through here, guys. So you can see there's a few areas up there. We generally catch up with 3 or 4 to a half a dozen of these peregrines.
And of course, we couldn't have missed the dolphins. Many pods live around Kangaroo Island, making them one of the easiest sea life to spot. The curious nature gets them coming straight up to the boat, and they even enjoy a little bit of a play in the bow waves. It's amazing how well you can see them just from standing on the side of the boat.
As you can see, Andrew, down here, we've got some putting on a bit of a dolphin experience. You told us we'll see some, and they're just swimming under us as we speak.
Yeah, no, we generally pull up quite a distance from these guys, and they'll be familiar with the sound of the boat. You know, the jet's got a more sympathetic acoustic pattern for these guys, so they're happy with it. They know that it's us. So yeah, we're quite happy to sit back here and let them come over and check us out.
You're telling me that you call it tea and coffee lounge for them, really, isn't it, around this area?
Yeah, this is essentially their lounge room. So they'll come in here after fishing all night out in the deeper water and come back in here and spend the day in here. They'll be teaching their calves, and the males will do as they do, and they'll take off and go and have a look at other things. But generally they're here for the day once they're in. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, Andrew, we are just being swarmed by dolphins at the moment. They're very curious, aren't they?
Yeah, these guys are very curious. It's in their nature to be sort of curious and check out what's going on. I mean, it's their environment, so we're sort of coming into their environment. Yeah, so it's they like to check it out. Yeah.
So they're bottlenose dolphins?
These are bottlenose dolphins. Yeah. These are our inshore dolphins, or what we call our friendly dolphins. Yeah. Yep.
And you were saying before, they send out a scout team to come out and check everything out first?
Generally, yeah. When we roll up in their area, they'll send out a little group of scouts to have a look, because Mum and the rest of the pod are off together and doing their little social time. But these scouts will come out, check us out, have a look, make sure we're the real deal.
I did see a little baby down as well, about this long, and they're probably about 1 or 2 weeks old?
Yeah, probably up to about 3 weeks to a month, I'd say. Yeah, they get these little tiger stripes on them, so they'll fill them out in time and fill out nicely. Yeah.
Well, they're just absolutely beautiful.
No, they're good. These guys are really good.
Like you were saying before, the dolphins know the boat, don't they? So you've got some really interesting stories and experiences with pods.
Yeah. Well, just for example, the other day we had we witnessed a dolphin funeral. What we said is we witnessed a dolphin funeral. So
Wow.
we're down here, and these guys were here, but they weren't in their normal area. They were right outside, deep, right out in the ocean.
And it's unusual for them not to come up and play, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not to sort of come and have a look at us anyway, so they were sticking to their own guns. So we sort of monitored them for quite a while, and then we sort of realised that there was a mother dolphin in the middle just towing a dead baby dolphin in her mouth, but the rest of the pod were right around and really tight, and every time we'd get near them, they'd just dive, and just didn't want to know us from a bar of soap. So after a couple of hours, we've gone, well, I reckon we're witnessing a dolphin funeral here. Turns out it was, yeah, they do. They're aware of their own mortality, and they'll grieve for up to a week at a time.
And you've got another story, don't you, as well, about the dolphins with a sick man?
Yeah, we had a guy out the other day, had a really nice couple out the other day, but the guy had cancer. And he jumped in the water. We put him in, we gave him a special sort of a one-on-one with the dolphins, and turned out really amazing, because he actually went in the water and the dolphin came up and touched him. He didn't see it, it came up behind him and actually touched him on the back. I didn't think anything too much of it at the time, but he got out of the water and he said, the dolphin actually touched me, but it touched me right where I've got my cancer, so that was right in his back. And pretty moving sort of moment, yeah. Unbelievable.
So is there much evidence about whether dolphins sort of, I don't know, intuitive or anything like that?
There's a bit of I think they have done some research on it, and the dolphins have got they've got the ability, they've got some healing powers. I don't think we know a lot about it, but there is something there. There's something really mysterious.
Well, there's just something very incredible out there. They're very majestic.
As we've known along the show, I've been nervous with the water, and this was so cool, calm, collective, nice and smooth, even to say there was a slight bit of swell today.
Yeah, the ribs are nice big ribs, so it's a nice big stable boat. It's a really stable platform, so yeah, no, we don't have any issues with people sort of having a bad ride at all. No, it's really good. Yeah.
So how did you name your boat Island 2?
We had a previous boat, a smaller boat before this one, so we just sort of carried on with the theme of Island Explorer and naturally named this one Island Explorer 2, yeah.
Now it's about 460 horsepower, and you're telling me you're going to upgrade to a big 600. What's the method behind that?
Just to run a little bit cleaner, run a bit more efficient, a nice new engine, so we'll actually burn less fuel, and we're more compliant as well. So we're sort of out with the old and in with the new, and a little bit more horsepower doesn't go astray.
Now we had our little crew on today, but you are always booked out. How many can you seat on the charter?
We can seat 12, yeah. In a 2C area we can seat 12. We can take 12 passengers.
I was actually dumbfounded today. We saw eagles, we saw dolphins, we saw sea lions, we just saw jelly, which I got excited with. I asked if we had any ice cream, because it would have gone nicely with that.
And don't forget our friend Ray.
And our friend Ray, of course. Now, Well, what I want to ask is, what made you get into this industry?
Previous to this, I was doing I'd been involved in the fishing industry. So I'd been involved in the cray industry for about 20 years. And yeah, decided it was time for a change and get out and get some people out to show them some of our sites around some of our marine environment and get a bit of understanding and take them to some really nice places.
Now, we think it'd be an absolutely dream job, but I reckon you'd get a buzz of the excitement of the people's faces when they first see a dolphin or a seal. Is that how you get your energy?
Yeah, it is. I think that's what keeps you going, you know, just seeing exactly that, people's energy and people's responses to that, because a lot of people have never seen these before. You know, a lot of people have seen dolphins and seals in a magazine and they haven't seen them in real life. So, and to see them also in their natural environment is really, we find that's the biggest attraction here.
We want to thank you today so much from G'day SA and everybody for supplying such a great service out here at Kangaroo Island.
Pleasure.
Cheers, Andrew.
Absolute pleasure, mate.
So in today's dish, we're going to use this beautiful ingredient, a Marin from Kangaroo Island, to go with some beautiful San Remo risotto. We're going to cook a lovely soup with it using the whole Marin. So to make our soup, we're going to add our Marin heads that we've roasted into a pan with some olive oil. Give that a stir. And then I've just got some diced onion here. I'm going to add about half a cup of fennel and half a cup of celery. A lot of the actual flavour in the Marin is in the heads, so that's why we're roasting them off now and using them in this dish. I'm actually going to crush them and break them up. So our Marin heads have been cooking for about 5 minutes with the celery and the onion and the fennel, and it's really browned up, and you can see on the bottom of the pan now there's nice caramelisation. So what I need to do is just deglaze. So I'm just going to add a shot of Pernod. Well, you literally want to cook that down till it pretty much disappears, but what I'm doing is scratching all the flavour off the bottom using the Pernod. And now all our Pernod's reduced down to just a syrup. So I'm just going to pour in some fish stock just to cover our Marin. And again, I'm just going to scrape all that flavour off the bottom. I'm also going to add another little boost of flavour, which is just some saffron shreds. And this is going to give this soup a beautiful colour and also a really nice flavour. It's a very cool herb, saffron. So our fish stock's been boiling and reducing down for about 5 minutes. Now I'm just going to add some tomato passata. That's going to richen it up a bit. We're going to mix that in and again boil it for about 3 or 4 minutes just to cook that through the sauce. All right, so our tomato sauce is now cooked out into our soup. It's beautiful and rich, it's got a lovely colour. The next thing we need to do is strain it off. So I've just got a strainer here and some Chuck's cloth. You can use muslin, anything like that that'll just catch in little fragments of shell that we don't want to go in there. We just want to double strain it to be safe. So with the back of my spoon I can slowly stir the soup through, but I don't want to push it through the sieve because then we'll get little chunks of shell and grainy bits that we don't want in our soup. There we go, that's our final little fish soup. So now I'm going to put it onto a medium heat. And now what I'm going to do is just cook our Marin tails in there. And this is what the Marin looks like after you've taken the meat out of the tail and the meat out of the claws. So I quickly blanched it in some boiling water just for say a minute, and then cut the tail out with a pair of scissors to get these beautiful chunks of meat. So they're going to finish our sauce off, and the claws are really tasty too, so I'm going to chuck them in as well. To cook these, I'm just going to poach them in our soup, which will give them that beautiful flavour, and also by cooking it on a very low heat, it'll make them nice and tender and just beautiful. So we'll just drop them in there. It should take about 4 minutes. And because our claws are a lot smaller, as you can see, they don't need to go until last minute. They only take like 30 seconds to cook. The next thing we need to add to our soup is our risotto. And so I've got some risotto here that I've partly cooked. It usually takes about 8 minutes to cook, and I've cooked it for 6, so it's still a little bit raw in the middle. The reason for that is I'm actually going to add it to the soup last minute, just before the tails are cooked, and the last bit of cooking for the risotto will be actually done in the soup, so it'll pick up extra flavour. So I'm just going to add a few spoonfuls, and now, just for the last couple of minutes while that risotto cooks, I'll also add our Marin claws. So I'm going to add some diced fennel. We want this to kind of be almost raw, so it'll just cook a little bit and soften. Also some celery. I've got some finely diced tomato here, so we're going to add that as well. I'm just going to mix it through. We'll just finish it with a little bit of lemon to add some freshness, and some olive oil just for a little bit of richness. So there we have it. That's my KI-inspired dish. It's a dish of Marin and risotto soup. Super easy and very tasty.
Now that we've seen the island from the water, let's explore it on the inside. And for that, we go to KI Outdoor Action to quad bike the island's otherwise unreachable spots. After we put all the gear on and go through a detailed briefing, we're all set to go and have fun. interesting that the first ever quad bike was made and sold by Royal Enfield in 1893. That's over 100 years ago. Of course, much has changed since then, and they're now more powerful and faster than ever. With sand and gravel tracks, open grassland, winding tracks through native bush and rocky tracks, we go through a large variety of landscapes, which gives us an opportunity to see much of the native wildlife.
Goggles off first.
Well, Jay, you almost kept up with me.
I know.
Oh my God, how does my hair
Is
look?
my head still on my neck? Pull me off! Pull me off! Oh!
You have the biggest moustache.
Oh! Is that dirty, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is mine like that?
Yes, you gotta mow.
Well, Brenton, that was an absolute blast, and as you can see, I definitely got down and dirty. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Now let's talk about the different tracks, because at times it was extremely rocky, and then we had some massive hills. Must have been an absolute effort to get that together.
The trails are already all existing here. There's, like you said, a huge variety. We've got open grasslands, smooth, easy for beginners, and right up to some of the extreme stuff that you guys saw.
What's it like maintaining that though?
We don't really have to do any maintenance.
Because you want it to get as rough as it can get, really.
It gets better with age. The older tracks, the first ones you were on, they're the oldest ones. They're
Like
the
a
best.
good wine. Now tell us how long you've been involved in the business.
Been doing this for nearly 5.5 years now,
Fantastic.
and getting better every time.
And new bikes?
New bikes again. We just bought a whole new fleet just before Christmas. And yeah, looking to continually upgrade and expand.
Now this is an absolute icon really at Kangaroo Island. Tell us the history about the business, because it's been around since 1994, hasn't it?
Yeah, this was started by Richard Turner. It started with horse trail rides,
Horses.
kayaking, sailboarding and snorkeling, and then evolved to meet the needs of the tourists as it went along. And yeah, we've got now sandboarding, kayaking and the quad biking.
Fantastic. With the quad bike tours, there's quite a few different tours that people can take part in, isn't there?
Yeah, we've got 4 different tours, and they all start similar with set up and do laps around the practice track so you feel safe and comfortable. Then the tours vary on the terrain, the different tracks we've got. We've got over 20 kilometres of trails we can choose from.
Wow.
And all the tours are adapted to the rider's ability.
Now what's your favourite part of the track? It must be hard to pick one precise point.
It is. I really like the windy bush trails, especially the older ones where there's big sandy corners. But yeah, sometimes flat and fast is good as well.
I mean, there was a massive hill where it was extremely rocky, and you did say keep your hand on the brake, but you can't help it really, can you? You just have to, go fast. Well, I think we should get stuck into some sandboarding. What do you reckon?
Let's go to Little
Get
Sahara.
me a bit more dirty if it's possible. Awesome. Well, Jay, we made it to Little Sahara.
I tell you what, I'm puffed just walking up here.
What do you reckon? Time to give sandboarding a crack?
And it's a great opportunity for photo of the week.
Let's do it. Sunny's on.